There were wind chimes in the window, bells inside the clock, an organ in the corner, tunes in the music box. We sang while we were cooking or working in the yard. We sang although our lives were really hard. There was music in my mother's house. There was music all around. There was music in my mother's house, and my heart still feels full with the sound. She taught us all piano, but my sister had the ear. She could play the harmony to any tune she'd hear. Now I don't claim much talent, but I've always loved to play, and I guess I will until my dying day. There was music in my mother's house. There was music all around. There was music in my mother's house, and my heart still feels full with the sound. Well, I could just sit around making music all day long. Long as I'm making music, I know I can't do nobody wrong. And who knows, maybe someday I'll come up with a song that makes people want to stop the fussing and fight just long enough to sing along. Everybody sing, I believe in music. Oh, I believe in love. Oh, I believe in music. Oh, I believe in love. Music is love, love is music, if you know what I mean. People who believe in music are the happiest people I've ever seen. So clap your hands, stomp your feet, and shake your tambourine. Lift your voices to the sky. God loves you when you sing. Everybody sing, I believe in music. Oh, I believe in love. Oh, I believe in music. Oh, I believe in love. I'll always remember the song they were playing the first time we danced, and I knew as we swayed to the music and held to each other, I fell in love with you. Could I have this dance for the rest of my life? Would you be my my partner every night. And when we're together, it feels so right. Could I have this dance for the rest of my life? I'll always remember that magic moment when I held you close to me. As we moved together, I knew forever you're all I'll ever need. Could I have this dance for the rest of my life? Would you be my partner every night? And when we're together, it feels so right. Could I have this dance for the rest of my life? Dance for the rest of my life. Would you be my partner every night? And when we're together, it feels so right. Could I have this dance for the rest of my life? Could I have this dance for the rest of my life? Carolyn, Rosie, get on board. We're gonna ride till there ain't no more to go. Taking it slow, and Lord, don't you know, I'll have me a time with a poor man's lady, hitching on a twilight train. Ain't nothing here that I care to take along. Maybe a song to sing when I want. Don't need to say please to no one for a happy tune. Oh, I love my Rosie child. You got the way to make me happy. You and me, we go in style. Rapping Rose, you're a store-bought woman, but you make me sing like a guitar humming. So hang on to me, girl, our song keeps running on. Play it now, play it now, play it now, my baby. Crackling Rosie, make me a smile. And girl, if it lasts for an hour, well, that's all right, 'cause we got all night to set the world right. Find us a dream that don't ask no questions, yeah. Oh, I love my Rosie child. You got the way to make me happy. You and me, we go in style. Crackling Rose, you're a store-bought woman, but you make me sing like a guitar humming. So hang on to me, girl, our song keeps running on. Play it now, play it now, play it now, my baby. Oh, I love my Rosie child. You got the way to make me happy. You and me, we go in style. Crackling Rose, you're a store-bought woman, For you make me sing like a guitar humming. So hang on to me, girl, our song keeps running on. Play it now, my baby. Oh, I love my rosy child. You got the way to make me happy. Oh, I love my rosy child. You got the way to make me happy. Oh, I love my rosy child. You got the way to make me happy. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed sky, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Wherever you go, wherever you may wander in your life, surely you know I always want to be there, holding your hand and standing by to catch you when you fall, seeing you through in everything you do. Let me be there in your morning, oh let me be there in your night. Let me change whatever's wrong and make it right, make it right. Let me take you through that wonderland that only two can share. All I ask you is let me be there. Grow and going through the changes in your life. That's how I know I'll always want to be there. Whenever you feel you need a friend to lean on, here I am. Whenever you call, you know I'll be there. Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue waters, dark and dusty, faded on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrops in my eye. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. And driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Country roads. You have asked me why the days fly by so quickly, and why each one feels no different from the last. And you say that you are fearful for the future, and you have grown suspicious of the past, and you wonder if the dreams we share together have abandoned us, or we abandoned them. And you cast about and try to find new meaning, so that you can feel that closeness once again. Carry on, the sweet survivor. Carry on, my lonely friend. Don't give up on the dream. Don't you let it in. Carry on, the sweet survivor. Though you know that something's gone, for everything that matters, carry on. You remember when you felt each person mattered, was lost. But now you see believers turn to cynics, and you wonder, was the struggle worth the cost? Then you see someone too young to know the difference, and the veil of isolation in their eyes. And inside you know you've got to mean that something, for the hope for something better slowly dies. Carry on, the sweet survivor. Carry on, my lonely friend. Don't give up on the dream. Don't you let it end. Carry on, the sweet survivor, though you know that something's gone. For everything that matters, carry on. Carry on, the sweet survivor. You have carried it so long, so it may come again. Carry on, carry on, carry on.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I am the Reverend Justine Sullivan, lead minister here at First UU San Diego. We are going to begin now, and just be mindful that some people will still be arriving. We knew that it would be packed, and we understand that some people are still parking. And so when they come in, we'll just make room for them. But we're going to get started. Oh, and let me also say, if you need a restroom, it's over in the other building there.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego. I am Reverend Kristen Carriga, and I serve as the assistant minister of this congregation. This afternoon, we gather as a community of family, friends, members, and colleagues to say goodbye to Carolyn Elizabeth Sheets Owen-Towle. Carolyn has touched each of our lives through her presence, her ministry, her commitment to community, to justice, and to service. We come together to grieve Carolyn's dying and to celebrate her living. Today we grieve because we will no longer hear the sound of Carolyn's voice, see her smile, or feel the touch of her hand. And we celebrate to give thanks for the many ways that Carolyn's life made our own richer. If you come to this time with sadness, allow yourself to cry. If you come with joyful memories and laughter, bring those too. However you are grieving and honoring Carolyn's life, I invite you to be here with your whole self. In the coming time, may we turn to one another to offer comfort, courage, and wisdom. We need each other, especially in times of loss. May together we find the strength to accept Carolyn's death, to celebrate Carolyn's life, and to offer love and support to Carolyn's family and close friends. The chalice is lit by Unitarian Universalists as a symbol of our faith. This morning, we light our chalice with words inspired by Carolyn's own writing, which can be found on the inside of your order of service. We light our chalice for truth, the call to be the truth teller in not only what we say, but also what we do. We light our chalice for beauty, which urges and strengthens the soul's power. And we light our chalice for love, the moving power of life, love that gives us the inner strength to listen, to look for, and to create beauty and truth. We dedicate this time to honor the life and the memory of Carolyn.
And now let us rise together in body or in spirit and sing our opening song, Spirit of Life. May be seated. Beloved congregants, friends from the art world, those here in this meeting house and those watching online out on our patio or from someplace else in the world, beloved family members, dear Tom. This gathering is testament to the love and appreciation we have felt for Carolyn and the prayers for healing and comfort that we now offer to her closest loved ones. As lead minister here at First UU San Diego, I have the honor of delivering what we call the Soul Sketch, a review of some of the highlights of a life well lived. And this particular soul sketch was lovingly crafted and compiled by Carolyn's husband and partner in life and in ministry, Tom Owen-Towle. And in it, Tom uses many of Carolyn's own words. She wouldn't have it any other way, I'm sure. And so we will get to hear Carolyn's voice in the stories that I have the honor of sharing. Carolyn Elizabeth Sheets Owen-Towle was born on July 27, 1935, the second child of four and only daughter of Mary and Millard Owen Sheets. As she fondly described her beginnings, I awoke in a lovely environment to a mother and father who were so responsive to my needs that I was quite certain they never actually slept. My slightest cry in the night dependably brought one of them to comfort and calm me. I lived in a sun-filled, wood-surfaced, aesthetically inviting home designed by my father in the San Gabriel foothills of Southern California. It was a beautiful, modern home with a breathtaking view of the mountains rising sharply above us to 5,000 feet, and the valley with citrus ranches fanning out below us. Our closest neighbors were a quarter of a mile away, and we children were left to fill our days resourcefully beyond family time, school, and chores. Thus began the deepening of my passion for nature, the red earth, the gnarled old olive trees, the stream, rocks, canyons, mesas, cactus, sagebrush, monkey grass, and Indian paintbrush, the rain, mud, sun, and stars, and fresh vegetables and boysenberries out of our victory garden. My sense of smell recall is so acute that one whiff of sage and I'm 7 years old again. Blessedly, Nancy Walker, one of Carolyn's dear childhood friends, another sage whiffer, now living in Boise, Idaho, is present with us today. They first met as 11-year-olds in Claremont. Carolyn writes, another precious aspect of my growth was learning to enjoy solitude. I remember the hours of freedom in which I read books, sitting in the crooks of trees, examining the lichen and pondering life, playing in storm-swollen streams, contemplating those wondrous mountains and feeling completely at peace with myself and the world. Beauty surrounded my growing up. Everything my parents created was beautiful. Both of them understood color, proportion, design, and scale, and had the taste and skills to create whatever they imagined. I can remember their saying, nothing is worth doing unless it's worth doing well. My aesthetic sense blossomed early. My parents held clear moral values with which they raised their children. My father brimmed over with vitality. While he was generous, expansive, and warmly affectionate, Dad was also a strict disciplinarian. My precious mother was a real mommy and a lot easier to slip around. A sympathetic and compassionate woman, a creative, well-read, urbane conversationalist, writer, lyricist, poet, homemaker with flair, decorator, and artist. She had talent and wit bursting from every pore. The apple did not fall far from that tree. That's my word, that wasn't Carolyn's. She would never say such a thing. In marriage consistent with her generation, Mary Baskerville chose, despite all her talents and virtuosity, to take a back seat to my father, a genius whose life and career were both dashing and brilliant. My first awareness of social injustice dawned in third grade. A game of hopscotch with a group of girls was abruptly interrupted by a sixth grader who grabbed her younger sister's arm and tugged her away from her Latina friend, loudly saying, "You know Mother says you can't play with her." I remember being sickened with outrage and humiliation. I wanted to cry and protest the older girl's cruelty, but stood there mute. In that moment, a passion for justice was born. As long as I can remember, I've tried to defend the weak against the strong, sometimes only in my heart. I've come to respect this as a thread that consistently runs through my life. When contemplating college, Carolyn's father said, "You can attend any school in the country, precious, as long as it's Scripps College." Of course, where Millard was the chair of the art department and the campus was a bike's ride down the hill. She was smilingly obedient, attending Scripps and graduating in 1957 with majors in art and art history. Carolyn continues, "My marriage 2 weeks after college graduation was both solemn and joyous. That was the 50s, you know, when a woman's primary degree was the MRS degree. To be a wife, homemaker, and mother were my supreme goals. I was a dependent person moving from dependence on my parents to dependence on my husband. Slowly, yea, agonizingly, I would become an independent person. My first genuine sorrow developed with the growing awareness of my inability to conceive. Severe questions of inadequacy surfaced during those years, so I got involved in the community through various organizations. I found ways to use my brains and education to serve and make a contribution. After 4 years of marriage, my husband Chuck and I adopted a blessed son, Christopher, and 20 months later, a precious daughter, Jennifer. They fulfilled my every maternal wish. And 5 years later, I had the unspeakable thrill of pregnancy and giving birth to Russ. Having little religious education in her own growing up, Carolyn felt as a mother the need to investigate religion for her children. She and Chuck found Neighborhood Church, Unitarian, Congregational in Pasadena, and stayed. As she framed it, it took this born skeptic a couple of years to be struck with a powerful realization as I stood alone in the church courtyard. Religiously, I had come home. I joined the following Sunday, and before I'd walked out the door, I'd been, you guessed it, put on a committee. Those years were a time of major spiritual, intellectual, and personal growth and change for Carolyn. As her faith grew exponentially, sadly, her marriage to Chuck, while companionable and caring, ended. We were both sad, she writes. Carolyn felt a profound calling to ministry, and in 1973 married the Reverend Owen-Towle, blending their families with Tom's daughter Erin, who became, in their adult years, profound companions with Munda, as she called Carolyn. Adopting the surname Owen-Towle, a rare feat back in those days, Carolyn often quipped, if we could, we would have capitalized the hyphen. Egalitarianism was the core theme of their pudding, from personhood to partnership, to parenting, to professional life, to prophetic service. Tom and Carolyn relocated to Davenport, Iowa, where Tom was called to be the parish minister, and Carolyn proceeded to earn her Master of Divinity degree. In 1978, they were called to be co-ministers at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego. Right here, yes. Serving in this parish for 24 years. They were one of the earliest team ministers in the country, and Carolyn emerged as a pioneering feminist leader in our progressive religion. In San Diego, Carolyn served on numerous boards, including Planned Parenthood, the Human Rights Advisory Committee, the United African American Ministers Action Council, and the San Diego Organizing Project. She and Tom started the Beyond Racism program here at First Church in 1984, vowing, as Carolyn put it, once I started anti-racism work, despite my failings, I knew I would never put the gauntlet down the rest of my life. Reverend Carolyn received multiple community awards, including the Dr. A. Brad Truax Award for her service to the HIV/AIDS and LGBTQ communities. She was an unswerving and on-call servant in San Diego. When a need arose and her name was called, she invariably said, "Yes, I'll be there. You can count on me." At the end of Reverend Owen-Towle's career, she was honored with a city council resolution recognizing her overall ministry and community contributions. Carolyn also held various leadership positions in our religious association, including being the first woman president of both the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee and the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association. In her initial capacity, Carolyn traveled to Nicaragua in the midst of the Iran-Contra war, distributing much-needed medicines and supplies to the people there. She also traveled alone to Senegal for the dedication of a project created jointly with Senegalese women to house and give job training to village women. This important intervention was to avoid their being exploited. Carolyn was nudged by former UUA President Jean Pickett, as well as by others, to undertake a 2-year campaign to become the president of the Unitarian Universalist Association in 1993. She lost that election by just 99 votes. But she paved the way for a woman finally to be elected as president of our UUA in 2017. Reflecting upon her defeat, Carolyn mused, "The letdown of losing was huge, of course, and painful. After a summer of significant grieving, we returned to an open-armed welcome by our church, where we recovenanted for 9 more rich and fulfilling years of shared ministry. A prolific writer, Carolyn authored several essays, 2 of which will be forthcoming in a book on women ministerial pioneers. She also composed 2 books of her own, Stepping Off the Sidewalk, a collection of her sermons, and Damn Gorgeous, a daughter's memoir of Millard Owen Sheets. A volume of that is for your taking today on her memorabilia table in Bard Hall, which we will, where we'll gather immediately following the service today. In her homestretch years, Carolyn served on the boards of the Mingay International Museum, the Elon Lael Foundation, and the Sam and Alfreda Malouf Foundation, reconnecting with her lifelong love of the arts. Even during the final months of her life, Reverend Owen-Towle was involved at Meadville Lombard Seminary in Chicago, chairing their archival work, collecting the papers of female ministers, religious educators, and feminist pioneers, including her own materials, documenting for the first time this formative herstory in liberal religion. Additionally, Carolyn relished her role as an active and cherished grandmother. While still working, Carolyn and Tom spent every Wednesday with their local grandchildren. Being Grandma Wednesday, as she named herself, kept Carolyn's continuing public life in loving balance. Carolyn Sheets Owen-Towle began her life nestled in the affectionate embrace of family, and she completed her truthful, beautiful, and loving journey in the same way. She made the world more beautiful, and we are all better for her having lived, and we will miss her.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Hassett, longtime member of this church, and I was here for almost all of Tom and Carolyn's ministry, and then several years after that. I've done a lot of music from this stage, and it was always a joy, as it is today, to share that music with you. Some of the most fun I had was actually alongside Tom and Carolyn and Mary Berenger, the piano. And we were called the Two Fab Four. Who remembers the Two Fab Four? Oh, good. I see hands. Wonderful. We had a lot of fun. So often when we would do these programs, and I'd collaborate with so many brilliant musicians, What a Wonderful World played a key role in that program because it's such a touching song. And in fact, I sang What a Wonderful World for several memorial services in Carolyn's family, for Millard, for her mom, Mary, and her brother, David. So it seems so fitting, although it's hard for me to really take it all in, that I'm now singing it for Carolyn. But it's a beautiful song, and can't wait to do it for you. I see trees of green and red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, I see clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? You're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. Oh, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
We begin a time of tributes, and I have the honor today of sharing the tribute from Tony Sheets, Carolyn's brother. I was the baby brother my sister Carolyn dreamed of, a real live baby doll. Now that changed when I became a toddler and a pest. We were 8 years apart, so our growing up time together was very different in terms of our interests and our abilities. But one year we shared this great Halloween costume made by our mom, which was Little Miss Muffet. I was the spider, and she was obviously a beautiful Miss Muffet. Now, our close personal relationship did not really develop until I was in my late 20s. We were both having a hard time going through personal trials that brought us closer together. We were able to depend on one another and to be there for conversation and understanding. We lived most of our adult lives many miles apart, but our special times of getting together happened at Barking Rocks, our parents' home in Gualala, California, on the coast. Our kids were able to renew cousin experiences, and we enjoyed beautiful walks on the beach, always touching the rocks at each end of the beach, a tradition that Flower, my wife, and I still enjoy, and fun and noisy games of the card game Rook. This year was a special reconnect with a trip by us to San Diego. We got to share the beautiful Mingay International Museum and see the treasures in their home. Their trip to Gualala for my art show at Gualala Arts, along with great conversation around a fire pit in our trailer on Anchor Bay. The conversation never lagged, and those memories will remain forever. We will miss you, Carolyn, but you will always be in our hearts. Love, Tony and Flower. I want to invite up now Jennifer Chapman, Carolyn's daughter.
I didn't trip and fall. The woman that most of you knew as Carolyn, I knew as Mom. And she quite often said, life is not a dress rehearsal. And that is exactly how she lived her life. It wasn't easy being the daughter of a woman so focused and driven. She set the bar high in everything that she did. from being a model and a mother to being a wife and a minister. She was naturally competitive, which made family games a lot of fun. Loving to win and hating to lose, she set the bar high. She was a strong and powerful woman, rarely showing any weakness. A migraine is about the only thing that could keep her down. My relationship with my mother was an intense one, for I was not an easy teenager. We got into our battles, which left us wounded, but we overcame and healed, strengthening our relationship. She set the bar high in all her relationships, insisting upon having depth and meaning, settling for nothing less, always working on it to improve through open communication. She encouraged me in everything I did. She taught me to be strong. She gave me morals. She gave me values. She set the bar high. Another thing she said quite often was, a job worth doing is a job worth doing right the first time. I carry that with me to this day. She always had something fun and witty to say. For example, when we were leaving on vacation or on a road trip, she would sing, "We're off to see the wizard." And then when returning home from wherever, she would say, home again, jiggity jig." I can hear her voice now. Even in her death, she set the bar high. So I'll close with a poem that I wrote about our last conversation. I talked to my hero today. She said she was going away. She said, "My precious, don't be sad. I've had a beautiful life here with your dad. I've traveled the world and sailed across the sea. As a matter of fact, I was just in Tahiti." And as she spoke, I wept. She said, "My darling, death is something we have to accept." Her words were clear and they were intentional. And the way she chose to go was in no way conventional. Her final words as we hung up the phone, and this she said in a hero's tone, "My precious, you'll be just fine. I will love you till the end of time."
And now we will hear from Carolyn's son, Russ, and then her daughter, Erin. Russ Chapman and Erin Stevens.
Hi, honey. This is your mama. I just miss you. It's been a long time. I want to check in sometime. I imagine you're on the road or in the air. Anyway, whatever day, it's not urgent. It's just I'm loving you and missing you. Take care. Bye.
We did hear a voice. Mom should have written her eulogy. She was a much better writer than I am. Mom was monumental. She lived her life full of purpose. From her professional life to her making a difference for those less fortunate, she was all in. The same would go for being a mom, a grandma, and a great-grandma. Her love for her family ran deep. She enjoyed telling memories we shared with family and friends. One of her favorites was when we were on a camping trip in the Midwest. She would tell, Rusty was the ripe old age of 6. He looked up and said, all these years, before I knew they were the crickets, I thought they were the stars. She would talk about when we cut a Christmas tree down ourselves. She would recount, Rusty counted 13 rings and said, this tree is twice as old as I am. She said, I was sad about cutting such an old tree down. Spending summers at my grandparents' in Northern California with aunts, uncles, cousins, had great memories. Campfires on the beach, canoeing, and making carrot cake with Mom was special. Playing rook in the evenings could get lively. If you played a card that didn't follow Mom's strategy, she would let you know in short order. Mom and Tom were always full of love and support. They would attend almost all of my track and cross-country meets. Through the somewhat difficult teen years, they were there with discipline and love. When Misha and I had Trevor, Corinne, and Owen, Mom gained 3 nicknames. She was Grandma Zuzu, Grandma Wednesday, and Munda. She loved being a grandma, spending any moments she could with them. She kept a book with interesting things they would say. When Trevor was 3, she wrote, I said something when taking care of Trevor and Corinne about how I love my babies. Trevor said emphatically, I'm Trevor, she's the baby. They would spend their pre-K years individually with her on Wednesdays, and I would occasionally tag along. The zoo and the children's museum were a lot of fun. The kids would make works of art at the museum, and Mom would take some of it home and put it on display at their house. Through the 55 years spent with Mom were like most relationships, good, bad, happy, sad, but always loving. Every time we would part, she would say, do you know how much I love you? In mystery we are born, in mystery we live, and in mystery we die.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Erin, daughter Erin. You know, there's something about preachers' kids, the children of, come on up, of ministers. They know their way around the chancel. And in this pulpit, there are shelves, and the kids know that they can put their stuff under here. So I just love that they are making themselves at home up here. It's great.
Thank you for joining us here today. Special thanks to our dad for planning this beautiful service, alongside Reverends Justine and Kristen. Chris Hassett for his melodic voice. Mary Behringer, so good to see you. For our family, to Jenny and Russ for their poignant tributes, to our extended family for all the support during this time, for our friends, Uncle Phil, words cannot describe, Carolyn, or Munda as I called her, was a woman attuned to detail and beauty. She appreciated the finer things in life, good grammar, vibrant colors, or the simple beauty of a flower. She was a nurturing figure, full of love and kindness. Her wisdom, affection, and easygoing nature made our relationship incredibly special and effortless. Munda's life was a tapestry of rich experiences and deep relationships. From her inspiring career, which was touched on in the Soul Sketch, to her role as a mother, eloquently captured in Jenny and Russ's tributes. I wish to highlight another aspect, her role as a mentor and a beacon of belief in others, a trait that resonates in the numerous letters and emails that Dad has received since her passing. Thank you for sharing your unique experiences and words of support during this time. I admired her elegance, her strength, and unwavering belief in the potential of those whom she loved. Whether it be meals, experiences, or even a bed, we amplified experiences that brought happiness and mitigated our hardships, creating a deeper bond between us as friends. Last year, when my dad was going out of town for a week, she asked me to come and stay with her. She excitedly pitched the idea of sharing a bed like schoolgirls, staying up late, swapping stories, something we did often on weekends away together, and she meant it. When I arrived, we did just that. We stayed up late, told stories to one another, cried, and laughed, just as she wanted. We would openly muse about terms to describe how mother-daughter relationship could conceivably be any closer. Conjoined twins, she guessed aloud. Upon my arrival back home, I received an email from her. I thought of it, Arinsky. You are my soul twin, my beloved. That settled that. Someone once said that sharing the simple things in life doubles the joy and halves the sorrow. Whoever said this may not have shared a bed with their adult mom for 7 days. Yes, our relationship was close. I deeply treasured the days on end talking just the two of us. It also had its share of bumps and dips over the years, even big fights that meant silence and hurt. Long after we coined the endearing term Munda as our own loving twist on Mom, she called to tell me that she was so mad at me, she had removed the personalized license plate, Munda, from her car. One of the most extraordinary aspects of my mother was her commitment to authenticity. She never shied away from hard conversations or issues that others often deemed taboo. She was the one who would shine the light on hard topics such as sexual abuse, mine included, rape, and other difficult topics long before they were part of mainstream conversations. Just recently, she sent me an article on the topic of rape, eager for my input and keen to engage in a substantive dialogue. It was as if she had an internal mandate to challenge the status quo, confront injustice at its core, and ensure that her children and grandchildren were aware, educated, and empowered. Beyond mothering, she was intent on fostering my love for organization and play, especially as a child. Traits she recognized and encouraged in thoughtful ways. She took time out of her full workday to set up an office for me here at First Church, complete with phone system and important documents to handle. Heaven for a 6-year-old. At 8, I shared my aspirations of becoming a professional tennis player or grocery clerk at Vaughn's. Remarkably, within days, she procured a real cash register to hone my 10 key skills. In middle school, after declaring my desire to be known only as Lori from that point forward, she wrote letters and cards to Lori and even got Grandma and Grandpa to do the same. It didn't matter that I didn't actualize any of these dreams. Part of what she loved about me was that I dreamed at all. See, Munda had a unique ability to see the unique ability in me. And I believe in those of us who are gathered here today. It was her gift. Munda had an uncanny skill to be larger than life, yet entirely accessible. She was the person who I could come to with scraped knees or a broken heart. She was my first teacher, imparting lessons far beyond the norm. It was she who taught me compassion, kindness, and the invaluable skill of listening. Not just hearing, but truly listening to the people around me, which may be surprising because, as some of you know, she had a knack for interrupting. Although Munda described her childhood as simply a blessed and golden time, it was a far from conventional experience as the daughter of Millard and Mary Sheets. Passion was the lifeblood of their home. Hand-stitched by Grandma, fabrics made up the clothing and furnishings that warmed their daily lives, while Grandpa was feverishly painting, sculpting, and creating. Grandpa taught her how to truly see the world, emphasizing sight as the link to all she loved. With his growing fame, more seats at the dinner table were occupied by prominent thinkers and doers of that time. This was by far no ordinary life. The only daughter of a prominent artist, surrounded by brothers, horses, and nature she adored, imagine then the sense of self Munda possessed as she set off for Scripps College. She promptly dedicated herself on the search in life, the search in which all of us are involved, knowingly or unknowingly. Thus, when she looked beyond her first marriage for far more than it offered, it was a crisis of faith that remained with her until she passed. Humbly, she shared that her quest was not one for freedom for its own sake. What deep knowledge of herself she must have possessed to keep on in pursuit of the deep in her. A trailblazing woman in a world of reductionist views of women, she became one of UU's most formidable feminists. Throughout her life, she could not bear the culture of complacency, even as her patchwork logic sometimes harbored minor contradictions. She embraced life's paradoxes with humor and passion, coining phrases such as the statement that she would starve without beauty in her world, or that she relished in the luxury of doing nothing. She could harmonize to any song, be it a Simon and Garfunkel one, or her precious, chafy high school cheer. A woman with a refined taste declared herself a foodie who also didn't like to cook, who was able to add both gravitas and warmth to the concerns of our day. Her love story with our dad, was a testament to true partnership, filled with understanding, patience, and deep affection. I learned from Munda that 50 years of marriage affords one the comfort of sharing with others her daily habit of leaving her hearing aids out to avoid Dad's desire to organize her mornings. Munda's impact on society is evident through the people she inspired and the causes she championed. Yet her true legacy lies in those she leaves behind. 4 children, 7 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild survive her. And undoubtedly more descendants will follow in her footsteps. In closing, I urge each one of you to find your Munda, that person who inspires you to seek deeper meaning in life. And equally, I encourage you to be that person for someone else. In this way, her remarkable spirit will continue to live on in each of us.
On an April evening in 1991, I was on this stage collaborating with an artist in town in a musical and art program. And my partner, gravely ill, was in a hospital room across the street here. Confirming my worst fears for the evening, my producer and director, Kay Furr, rushed on stage to tell me that Dan had taken a turn for the worse, and I knew I had to be with him. That was a tough evening. About a year later, I wrote a song as a tribute to Dan, but also a song that I knew might bring comfort to so many of us who have both the privilege and the deep sorrow of sitting alongside the people we love as they pass on. And it's called Into the Light, and Mary and I are going to do it for you now. Evening is quiet and near. Your hand in mine, no fear. Soft breezes hold us as twilight enfolds us. With each breath, surrender to love so tender. Now I must tell you goodbye. Now as light fades from the sky, last words are spoken, but hearts won't be broken. For our love is stronger from strife and longer than life. Over the clouds and across the skies, on to forever after saying goodbye. Into the light that for me seems to end. But as darkness falls, a new light burns within. Evening is quiet and near. My lips are pressed to your ear. Good friends, embraces, amazing graces. Spirit, your soul to the sky. Our last goodbye.
And now we're going to hear from Phil Toll, Tom's brother. Oops.
I'm not running for president. Have you ever overdosed on love? Have you ever felt like you've overdosed on love? I'm feeling that right now. And I'm so grateful to be a part of this experience with all of you. Coming back. Can't hear me? I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry. I just was saying that, well, let me start over. I'm someone who believes very strongly in burying myself into moments, okay? And this moment is an overdose of love. And I am glad that I'm able to express the emotion that comes with what I'm saying. I feel like I've come home. I feel like I've come home. You know what I mean? And Carolyn, I call myself her brother-in-awe, okay? Carolyn, as we've extended our tributes beyond, I mean, if this was an obituary, there would be a whole newspaper of, you know, the whole paper itself. Her special qualities have been rendered in terms of her, the tributes have been justified. The accomplishments are off the charts. And I loved hearing especially the personal tributes from the family members, right? Because really, when it boils down to it, we're called human beings, not human doings. And so often I think we lose our way as human beings by trying to compensate with our doings. So one of the things I would like to do, or maybe the only thing right now, is what I would like to do is turn the experience over to everyone here. That does not mean I'm going to hand the mic to everybody. Thank you. Right. Okay. They warned me. I wanted to go up the aisles. That's what I did. I wanted to go up the aisles, and I wanted to, before I got to know you and the experience of being here, I wanted to go up the aisles and just have personal connection with everybody here. It's so meaningful to me, and thank you for blessing me with this. I will modify and accommodate, okay? But what I want us to do right now, to extend the life of Carolyn, is I want to tap into our own personal experiences. You can do that in private, but tap into our own personal experiences with her. And think about what it is, not that she's done, but who she is in our life. I'm a spiritualist, and I believe in reincarnation, and I believe in the belief. My belief is that we are not bodies with souls, but we are everlasting souls who manifest in bodies. And there's no question in my mind that Carolyn is here with us and will be paying attention to what it is we share with her, right? So be on your guard, right? That's right. So this is an opportunity, and what a wonderful family you are. I don't think I've ever been here, if you know what I mean, before. I've wanted all my life to feel this. There's something so special about being here. Are you listening, Carolyn? I mean, Carolyn has orchestrated this, there's no question about it. So I think it's our task, it's a natural human task for us to take this love to the very next level. And I think our struggling world will be blessed if we do. So if you want to assume kind of a meditative posture or a prayerful posture, I just remind you that those of you who might feel that this is a little weird, understand that, I mean, how many of you believe in God, right? And everybody here believes in a God, right? And there's no scientific evidence. No, we don't believe in God? Okay. Well, we can have a discussion about that one later. Okay, is it the terminology that bothers you? Is it the terminology? We're not supposed to have dialogue. I apologize. Okay, my point being that give yourselves the opportunity to believe if you have an unknowing about a not knowing or not believing about Carolyn being here, I would like to help you open up to the possibility of that reality. And I would like you to spend a moment in a prayerful posture right now, or a meditative posture right now, that allows you to get in touch with her. She's precious. She's precious. Now feel the connection with her and offer up initiating a conversation with her, or offer up something you want to say to her, a blessing, a thanks, love. Feel that personal connection. And feel a response from her. It doesn't have to come in words. It will be there. Linger with that. And now make a pledge to Carolyn that you will take your relationship with her forward, and that you will do your best to keep in touch with her in this way. Thank you.
I invite up now Reverend Wendy Fish, a friend and colleague.
Carolyn and I became colleagues the day that this congregation ordained me. It's just very touching to be back here. We'd worked together for 7 years before that, when I was church administrator here at the church. In that role, I was up close to experience Carolyn's dedication to the path of religious leadership. I remember when a meeting with her was interrupted with the news that a congregant had just died. Carolyn's facial expression changed. She took in the loss and stood, saying that our meeting needed to end so that she could go be with the family at this precious time. Moments like those helped me to understand what it meant to be a minister, how to sustain a vital church community. Carolyn mentored many interns and ministers in formation, helping others like me to find our own ministerial voice. She had meaningful and long-lasting connections with clergy. She was faithful about attending collegial gatherings to both give and receive from those who understood the blessings and challenges of ministry. She was a sought-out, trusted leader, perceptive, curious, and willing to speak up. Unitarian Universalism is stronger for Carolyn Owen-Towle's many meaningful contributions. And I knew Carolyn as a friend, too. And so I speak as one among many gathered today when I pay tribute to a friend who offered her gifts of full presence and authentic acceptance. What a blessing it was to have Carolyn's attentiveness, her support expressed in so many ways, her body language, her choice of words, her ways of following up. She knew when to speak, when to hold back and be a witness, when to encourage, and when to share a perspective or a nudge. She remembered our stories and our hurts, and was open to hearing the rest of the story. One indelible example of Carolyn's gift of care was when she invited me to be wherever her family would be for my first Thanksgiving following the end of my 30-year marriage. Her invitation came 7 months before the first holiday that I would need to navigate in a new way. It anchored me. And it wouldn't be right to skip over Carolyn's playful nature. Oh, we've heard a lot about that. It goes without question that she had that gene. Ask anyone who played charades with her or cards. Carolyn understood the necessity for work-life balance, and she knew how to shift gears between the intensity of her work and her need for respite time. Carolyn's family might find it tender to know that with a sparkle in her eye, Carolyn would ask if I would wander the aisles in a children's clothing store with her. This was the 1980s. Anybody want to figure out how old the grandchildren are that are sitting here? She wanted to dream about the day when she and I might hold and spoil a grandchild. It took real restraint not to buy anything, but we could dream. And when her turn to become a grandmother came, Carolyn gave it great energy and passion. Carolyn was a one-of-a-kind friend and colleague. May we, each of us, pass along her kind of goodness to others.
And now we're going to hear from Carolyn's beloved Tom Owen-Towle.
Thank you for being here. That's the most important thing I could say. But I'm not going to stop yet. I've done hundreds of memorial services in my 56 years, and I've done them for family members. Never done this one. I'm humbled and I'm trembling to pay tribute to our beloved Carolyn. For selfishly, I wanted her to be around to do mine. But life weaves its own tapestry, doesn't it? And so I'm wobbling and hither and yon, and I'll keep on grieving the remainder of my days and nights. But I'm soaking in gratitude. My friend calls it thanks grieving. And fortunately, gratitude is holding serve. Grateful that Carolyn and I gambled all we had, and we were a long shot then. All we had in our partnership. Grateful that we lived heart to heart from start to finish, and that her fingerprints are all over me. And tenderly onward I go, meandering in fresh and new country, aspiring to grow beyond what I'll never get over. In our 50-plus years together, Carolyn and I were yoked as teammates and soulmates. We aspired, we fell short, to share as equals every aspect of our respective journeys. And I'm missing the constant touches of our blemished and gnarled hands, the soulful, deep unto deep talks, the languorous walks, the singing together. A natural harmonizer she was. And even our squabbles and our holes, and we had them. Blessedly, we were current with our regrets. We were current with our forgiveness. When she died, I simply missed the unmistakable timbre of her being, as many of you do too. Words, and she and I majored in them. Can't capture our juice or our throb. But I hope, and as Phil put it in this love fest, you caught a morsel, but an exceptional creation Carolyn Sheets Owen-Towle was. She was the North Star of my existence. As my brother Phil is too. Because you've known me longer than anybody alive, Phil. And we're still awake. We're still vital. The closing days of Carolyn's life were a spiritual summation. She didn't want medical extension. She came home to go home. she got her wish. That last week was filled, I don't want to kid anybody, with shock and anguish and gaffes. But essentially, Carolyn's life was completed in the attentive and intimate aura of her family. She got to come home to go home, fulfilled. I was sleeping in the bed next to her, holding her hand or massaging her body, singing songs such as Love Will Guide Us, which we'll sing at the close, or I've Got Peace Like a River. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got love like an ocean. And letting her know amidst her increasing fog that she could surrender and return to the eternal light and love from whence she came. I mean, we initially met and fell in love singing, and I simply wanted to sing her on her way. I'm more mystical than Carolyn. Phil's more metaphysical than either of us. I think you got that today, right? Yeah, okay. Metaphysical, mystical, and Carolyn was rational with an open soul. But we held in common the universalist gospel of everlasting love. Oh, yeah. So I would keep chanting in her ear, there is a love holding me. There is a love holding you. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. Rest assured, as our forebears put it. An abundant human love also surrounded Carolyn and supported her during those final days at home. Here's a typical anecdote as she's being gurneyed home and settling into her bed in our family room amidst all the exquisite sculptures and paintings in our veritable art museum, which I inherited. I mean, I was not born into art. I was born into music, but I married into art. And almost immediately upon arrival, Carolyn blurted out, Tom, can you please move that wood sculpture on the mantle 2 inches to the right? And oh yeah, that vase of gorgeous flowers doesn't belong there. Vintage Carolyn. I mean, all 3 generations of our family, blended family. We're in and out of our sanctuary, sharing and sobbing our hearts out, bed bathing our beloved, administering pills and water, then using the morphine pump, caressing a presence and a force that had unwaveringly shaped and nurtured our own lives and will continue to do so. And we played our Owen-Towle musical CD, the one you heard earlier, serenely in the background, and placed a picture within visual range of our Tahitian pilgrimage in July to celebrate our 50th anniversary. And in person or via phone, while conscious, she delivered her farewells to one and all. And now and again, 2 granddaughters, Corinne, yeah, to you, Corinne, Zoe, and you, Zoe, would read portions of Carolyn's Odyssey, her life story, out loud to calm or spark her occasionally twitching demeanor. Comforting Carolyn was our sole mission. And beloved family, each and every one of you, she loved you deeply. And specifically, and eternally. So carry Carolyn's and Mom's and Munda's and Grandma Zuzu's love forward. Spread it far and wide all your days and nights. When we're underground, when we're gone. Be good ancestors and leave a loving mark. That's her wish. No, that's her charge. She was cradled blessedly in the squeeze of familial love from birth to death, traveling gently and surely to the embrace of her everlasting love. Her body's irrevocably gone, but her soul manifests and ripples on and ripples on and ripples on and ripples on. And each of you in this meeting house today, you could stand up here and pay an honorable and singular tribute to the Carolyn you cherished. As a family member, as a friend, as a parishioner, as a colleague, associate at Mengay and Maloof and Hubble Foundations and beyond, you were touched by Carolyn. You were thickened by her. You were possibly transformed by her in one way or another. Bless you and thank you. Thank you and bless you. And may we, as we're ready and able, go forth to resemble her character and conduct in our own inimitable ways. No cloning. Just try to ensoul a portion of her truth and beauty and love. And let's not squander but a few moments that we got left. Only a few. She was a bright and beautiful presence within and without. I mean, few of you knew that Reverend Carolyn was a stunning model in her early 20s, right? An ever-shining light in our world of swelling darkness. And also a hell of a communicator. I mean, her sermons and workshops, counseling and conversations, while exquisitely crafted, caringly delivered, were never syrupy, but always finished with marching orders for a better you and a better universe. Her door and her heart remained open, wide open, until the end. I mean, the day before she died, she was scheduled to preach at our nearby Summit congregation. And that same day, a Mengay friend's daughter unknowingly called to see if Carolyn was available to memorialize her mother. She was on duty as an earthly sentinel for compassion and justice. Let's do likewise in our own fashion. She was multi-gifted, but exceedingly modest. Really. It was never about her, but rather about enhancing every bond and furthering every cause. She served the universe as our companion and collaborator every stride along life's thorny and tumultuous path. Okay, right about now, she's saying, Tom, shut up. Yeah, okay. She's telling me to quit mouthing such lovely words and get on with the work of loving. She was a practical theologian. She wasn't a cerebral theologian. That's really why she lost the election. But I don't want to go there. It's not in here. It's not in here. Sorry. She took her religion to meeting rooms. She took her religion to the streets of San Diego, to the hospitals and the jails, to the headquarters of Boston, to the foreign countries, and she took it to her very own household, where she wasn't daunted to call her beloveds on the carpet. Family was the lodestar of her existence, but it didn't stop with loved ones and relatives. Family included each and every one of you, up close and personal. It didn't stop there. Parishioners, friends, co-workers, didn't stop there. It encompassed siblings of every race and culture, every orientation, in class, conviction, and capacity. It swirled far and wide to the edges of creation, family above all, in the largest cosmic sense imaginable. Chris, I want you to sing. I'm getting carried away.
We love you, Tom. We love Carolyn. In the decades leading up to the Supreme Court confirming marriage equality, this church was at the forefront of fighting not only for that cause, but for so many other causes. And I knew Tom and Carolyn always were right there in the forefront with us as we marched and fought and got out people to vote and all that kind of stuff. And I wrote a song about it because that's what I do. And it just says the importance of love and allowing every person to bring love into their life that works for them, that makes sense to them, and that builds a community. It's called Let Love Be Your Family, and Mary and I are going to do it right now. There are pictures on the screen that burn in our vision. A child's swollen stomach and sad face. We see helping hands with food, with clothes and medicine too. Can we picture ourselves in their place? There are people we know who lack for nothing. There are children we see without a home. Together they might be a chosen family, and they'd feel more alive and less alone. Let love be your family. Let love light up your home. Let the love inside keep us together. Let no one stand alone. Bring love home. Bring love home. There are women and men who take a partner, and the love that grows is strong and true. How can any marriage be whole? How can peace reside in our soul until Bonnie and Jan, Michael and Ted, Carol and Irma, Alfredo and Ed stand before family and friends and say, I do. Let love be your family. the love inside keep us together. Let no one stand alone. Bring love home. Bring love home. As the world keeps getting larger, there's a way to make it smaller. I say, let no one stand alone. Bring love home. Bring love home. Did I do it the way you wanted, Tom? Did I do it?
And now we all get to sing our closing song. Please rise in body or spirit and let us sing together. Love will guide us. And on the second verse, let's find the harmony. Love will guide us, peace has brought us, hope inside us, leading the way, praise to thee. Love will guide us through the Please be seated. The Reverend Dr. Carolyn Sheets Owen-Towle wrote these words. Love is the glue that surrounds and holds truth and beauty together. Truth might be beautiful or it might be ugly, but beauty is always truthful. Beauty is more than something to look at. Beauty pleases the soul. It urges and strengthens the soul's powers. As we go forth from this place, let us go knowing that we are held in love. And may our souls be urged on and strengthened by beauty, as our beloved Carolyn was so deeply called by beauty, to continue the work of healing and blessing this fragile world of ours. May it be so. Peace and love to you. Amen.